Good afternoon, Trump's family. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Thank you for always watching and subscribing to the channel. Every channel subscribe is my motivation to work harder. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news this Thursday morning. And Elon Musk has been destroying the cult of Fauci, Fauci himself and the Fauci fan club, all of these politicians and so-called journalists, and of course, all the blind sheep who follow everything that the man of science. If you attack me, you're attacking science of Anthony Fauci. That's right. He's been going off on Twitter all day about it today. And it's been revealed to us that Twitter, obviously, probably many other social media companies like Instagram and Facebook and Google, all these places probably have internal communications with each other that had an Anthony Fauci fan club. And that's what was discovered inside the files in Twitter as Elon continues to peel back layers, and revealed to us how corrupt that social media actually is, and how much it colludes with the actual government to ensure that they silence you if you have anything that goes against the narrative, where it's been revealed that Joe Biden had requested people who were going against the science to be booted off social media. That has been proven in the last few days. And Elon Musk has been doing a service to this nation right now, revealing the corruption at the highest levels. And now what we need is a follow-through on this. We need good people who serve in the justice system to deliver justice for these individuals who continue to just disregard the Constitution of the United States and continue to do whatever they want. And Anthony Fauci is one of those individuals, and I'm glad what Elon Musk is doing, and I laugh at how these people are turning themselves into pretzels trying to say that Elon Musk is anti-science. To do that sends rockets into the air, to do that help Tesla create their cars and things like that. That dude's anti-science. You guys are an absolute morons, the leftists out there who are claiming that. So let's dive into what we have here. Coming to us from Elon Musk's Twitter files over here. He started off the day with Ganem function is in IndyCar. This context is just another way of saying bioweapon, who Collingwood Anthony Fauci doing his bioweapons, that same thing that the mainstream media tried to tell you that was not happening in places like Ukraine and these other labs around the world, and then what he was doing, the Beagles and everything else like that. That, my friends, is bioweapons that Anthony Fauci was working on to ensure that he can help his buck buddy, Bill Gates, with his depopulation, right? It goes on and says some good nuggets. In this article, important to note that Fauci authored the 2012 paper arguing for gaining function research, in other words, more bioweapons, and to ensure that we can affect people. Don't forget, this is the same dude. Back when President Trump was inaugurated, a couple months after that, he made that big speech about there's going to be some type of pandemic hitting during President Trump's presidency, remember? And it was all coordinated in order for this to take place. They use Fauci gain of function research on coronavirus to ensure that it will be unleashed in the world. This dude has been responsible for millions of deaths. So here's a meme that Elon Musk shared earlier today. Says it's dangerous. It's dangerous to believe anything blindly. The science is settled. That's not how science works. You're a racist. And then here was one more that he put out there that just sent them over the edge. Elon says, I am not brainwashed. And he shared this meme right here. They brainwashed you in the chat over here, really, with the American flag. All these people over here with the triple mask and in their rainbow flag that has replaced the United States flag, and all of their boosters on the boosters, and gotta believe everything that the science says that's on the television. That sounds more like Trump than Fauci of work on that anyway. So there you go. We got some big energy coming from Elon Musk right now, as he takes on the woke mob, takes on the corporate journalists who continue to protect the state from the people instead of actually protecting the people, instead of actually holding a truth to power. They do the opposite. They just regurgitate whatever the state has told them to tell the people, and that's been done for a very, very long time. Operation Mockingbird never ended. It continues to be in full display as we see the mainstream media continue desperately to hold on to the narrative. And then some significant news. On the latest coming out of Maricopa County, Arizona yesterday, the judge in this ongoing case, Judge Peter Thompson, absolutely torched Katie Hobbs, the single most crooked, corrupt Secretary of State in the entire nation. He shut down her attempt at punishing Kari Lake for simply revealing the truth of what happened on Election Day in Maricopa County under Katie Hobbs' incompetent watch. Katie Hobbs actually filed a motion to have Kari Lake censored by the court for making supposedly baseless allegations of election fraud. Now, of course, you all know that the same judge presiding over the Kari Lake election lawsuit. He threw out her case on Christmas Eve, claiming that her case against Katie Hobbs didn't have merit. So the 2 days that he gave to the Kari Lake team to prevent their amazing evidence for election shenanigans, in the end turned out to be nothing more than a show trial, a sham trial that looked fair, but in the end was nothing more than kabuki theater. We talked about this yesterday. I think it was the Gateway Pundit that put it best. They had the headline, Judge Peter Thompson rules elections with broken machines in 60% of precincts and no chain of custody for ballots are free, fair and certifiable. So freaking Katie Hobbs exploited that decision, and filed a motion to have Kari Lake censored by the court, claiming that Kari's case against her was absolutely baseless. Well, I am happy to report that that same judge told Katie Hobbs to get lost. He has officially rejected her request, stating that the case was not filed against her with malicious intent. He added that while he found that Miss Lake failed to meet the burden of clear and compelling evidence necessary, he also stated that this does not equal to a conclusion that her assertions were or were not groundless, and brought in bad faith as Miss Hobbs and Maricopa County had contended in their own filings. Now we should note there that this judge put up an impossible standard for Kari Lake to meet. Kari's legal team showed first and foremost that Maricopa County officials broke chain of custody procedures, rendering hundreds of thousands of ballots invalid. Number 1, and number 2, Maricopa County officials misprinted Election Day ballots, causing massive delays on Election Day, which experts and legal witnesses testified cost Kari Lake the election. There's no way that anyone watching those proceedings could have come away with any other conclusion. Katie Hobbs' legal team was an embarrassment. They didn't even deny any of that happened. They just claimed that in the end, it didn't matter. But what the judge did is he set the bar even higher, requiring the Kari Lake's legal team prove that all of those irregularities and mishaps were actually intentional on Katie Hobbs' parts, which is not just ridiculous, but also it's not even necessary. According to Arizona law, Arizona legal precedent, if that were maintained, Kari would not have had to prove that actual fraud or maladministration of an election took place. All she'd have to do is show that there were irregularities, mishaps, mistakes, omissions or other issues that brought the election outcome into doubt, which is exactly what she did. In other words, all one has to do, according to Arizona law, is to show that there were fallible faulty issues during the electoral process, and then show that that fallibility could, and that's the key, could have inordinately affected the outcome of the election. But the bar was set so high by this judge, that it seems that the outcome was already predetermined. And so that's why Kari Lake is appealing this decision. Again, based on Arizona legal precedent. A court has to be stressed. According to Arizona law, she does not have to prove what the judge required of her, that there was actual maladministration, that the irregularities, mishaps and mishandling were intentional. She does not have to prove that. Showing is to prove that such irregularities could have inordinately affected the election results, which is enough to render the certification of the election invalid and order a new election, a runoff presumably, in Maricopa County alone, because there were no other issues outside of Maricopa. And so that's why Kari Lake is appealing this decision. And that is precisely why Katie Hobbs is trying to have her censored, so as to stop the appeal process. It's a clear attempt to bully and intimidate by weaponizing law again against her own gubernatorial opponent, which is just par for the course when it comes to the corrupt Katie Hobbs. But the joke's on her. While Kari Lake is in the appeal process, patriots are taking the lead to take down Katie Hobbs, once and for all. A mass recall effort to get rid of Katie Hobbs once and for all is already underway. According to Arizona law, after the governor have served for 6 months, a recall petition can be submitted, which has to include a certain amount of signatures in relation to the total number of voters in the previous election. Well, those efforts at amassing such signatures has already begun, and Katie Hobbs hasn't even taken office yet. An organization called the Arizona Citizens has begun the process of collecting over 600,000 signatures to recall Hobbs as soon as legally possible, and it looks like her governorship is going to be incurably plagued by such efforts. What's so astonishing to me is the notion that she thought that she could do all of this so blatantly she could refuse to recuse herself from overseeing an election and involve counting her own opponent's votes. She could be so openly, and I believe intentionally mismanaging election day with machines breaking down printers misprinting ballots, and of course a major chain of custody failure, and then legally threaten other county supervisors into certifying the results of an obviously botched election. She thought she could do all of this out in the open and somehow she'd maintain the appearance of legitimacy as governor. She actually seems to have thought that all of these shenanigans would not have affected the integrity of her tenure in office. Well, if these recall efforts are any indicator, that was perhaps the single dumbest assumption she could have possibly made in all of this. The voice of the people will be heard either in court or in recall. The patriots of Arizona are rising up and no amount of shenanigans is going to stop them. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Open Source News. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing.